Hi guys, my name is Ariel and welcome to anyone that's new here. I decided to restart my YouTube after a recent inspiration moment. I posted a TikTok about my current job and it went totally viral. And then I received a ton of outreach from a lot of people in college or just graduated from college that are really interested in learning more about my career journey and what I do day to day in my role. After recently hosting a bunch of Zoom meetings with a ton of people interested in getting into the beauty PR space, I decided it might be best to move on to YouTube and share this video with you guys. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, my career experience, what I did in college and post-graduation to end up where I am now at Mercier, and some tips and tricks for you guys who are looking for new jobs. So I received a ton of questions and a lot of them were the same. So I'm just going to go through the basics and answer some of those questions up front. If you guys have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to do a second follow-up video answering them. So a little bit about me. My name is Ariel. I am 28 years old and I live in New York City with my fiance. I went to the University of Michigan where I graduated with a double major in art history and communications. Everyone's career journey is totally different and unique to them. I can't tell you what the right path is, but I can only tell you my story and my journey. And that started with my major. I don't know if a communications major is entirely necessary for a PR job, but my best suggestion is to look on LinkedIn or Indeed at past job descriptions that interest you and see what they list as the major requirements. That is how you can get a sense of whether you're studying the right major for what you want to do in the future. So in college, I was involved in a bunch of clubs. I knew it was really important for me to get involved and build up my resume with as much experience while I was in school as possible. Being in Michigan, obviously there weren't a lot of opportunities, but I took advantage of those that were available. I joined the Victoria's Secret Street Team, which was a group of girls on campus that host events and different brand awareness for the brand. It was a really fun way to get involved and meet other girls with similar interests, and there were even some people that got jobs and internships with Victoria's Secret after graduating. I did a quick Google search and I found that there are a ton of campus ambassador programs similar to this one. So if you're in college still, I definitely suggest you get involved. I gotta get my notes for this one. They include HBO, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, Amazon Prime, Michael Kors, Vineyard Vines, ASOS, Rent the Runway, Spotify, and Chipotle. That was what I found in a really quick 2-minute Google search. So I'm sure there are amazing brands that have similar campus ambassador programs that are not even in that list. So definitely check out what is available on your campus, make sure you apply and get involved. As a first-generation college graduate, I knew that my network was going to be super important and it was going to be on me to build it. My parents are both self-employed and didn't really understand the corporate environment since they had never worked in one. I knew that I wanted to work for a big corporation one day, specifically in either the fashion or beauty world. So I tried to get as much experience as possible through my Victoria's Secret Campus Ambassador program and also working retail on campus while studying and also working with a fashion magazine. I knew that if I wanted to get into fashion, I would have to let everyone in my world know that I was looking for an opportunity. I basically told everyone and anyone I knew that I was interested and was hoping that someone somewhere would have a connection. Turned out one of my guy friends actually did have a connection. His sister had just graduated and was starting a role in a PR department for a small Israeli fashion designer that was sold at Nordstrom's and Bloomingdale's at the time, and we ended up connecting via phone for an informational. An informational is when you ask someone about their career and their job to just understand more what they do, and it's just a really informal meeting. It was really great to connect with her and hear what she had gone through. She had been a New York student, and so she was able to intern all through her time in college. It made me feel a little bit behind in my opportunities and my experience, but I knew that I had to push forward and stay confident to be able to get a role when I was going to be out for the summer. We ended up really hitting it off, and a month later she ended up offering me an internship role with her at the company. I immediately jumped on the opportunity and was so excited to have my first fashion internship. I learned so much and got so much exposure. The following summer, I knew that I wanted to work in fashion again and was looking for internships. I ended up reaching back out to my former boss and asking her if she knew of any opportunities between herself or her friends. She had ended up moving to Hermes, which was amazing, and I was so eager to hear about her experience. I was really lucky because she ended up offering me another internship working for her at Hermes. It was an amazing opportunity and a great resume booster to have such a big luxury fashion house on my resume. My experience really goes to show that your network is everything, and you never know where anyone will end up. I was so lucky that she had ended up taking a position at Hermes, and in turn, it brought me the opportunity. It's really important to keep your work relationship strong, even when you end up leaving the company in the future, because you never know where someone will end up, and we actually still talk to this day. Upon graduating, I ended up getting a part-time internship with Zac Posen 3 days a week when I was still looking for a full-time role. While job searching, if you're wondering what your salary should be listed as, I highly recommend using Glassdoor. It's an online resource where you can type in the company, your level, or the title, and figure out what is a benchmark for a salary at that level in the industry. It's really insightful and will just help you understand when you're going on job interviews. So let's start with networking. Obviously, networking was super important in my career path, and it helps me find my internships. You want to make sure that you start with building your resume. I partnered with a few of my best friends, and we all rotated resumes. We read it over each other's to make sure there weren't any typos and give suggestions and feedback. It's super important that you have someone else read your resume if possible, because after you read something 10 times or more, you start to miss those little mistakes. Once the copy of your resume is updated, I suggest checking out Canva. It's a great free software online that allows you to look up resume templates and input all your data into a beautifully designed resume. It really stands out from the crowd when I get a resume made on Canva or another software editor on my desk. It shows that you took the time to go a step further and are really detail-oriented. Once your resume and your LinkedIn profile are all up to date, take the next step by writing out a list of your dream companies. You want to write down every single brand you would ever want to work for. Then you want to go through and find where those companies are located. If you're based in New York and you only want to stay in New York, then that's going to eliminate some of the brands that aren't based there. If you're in California and you're looking to relocate to New York, obviously you want to look for New York brands. If you're open to any city, that really opens your employment options. You can run the gamut and apply everywhere on your dream list. Once you figure out the list of companies that are in the location you desire, if it's only 1 or 2 cities, that will really leave you with a cross-reference list. You then want to take that list and try to find anyone that works there on LinkedIn, especially any graduates from your same college. I used this tactic when I graduated from college, and I found that alumni from my same school were really willing to give me their time and attention because they had been in a similar role upon graduating. You want to ask them to have a phone call or virtual coffee or in person if possible, but right now during Corona, obviously that's not. So do a virtual Zoom coffee and just ask them all the questions you have about their role, what their career search was like when they were graduating, how their career has evolved over time, and what they like about their current role in company. It's an opportunity for you to learn so much, and you should really take advantage of the opportunity and their time if they're willing to give it to you. A lot of people might not respond, and that's okay. Don't let that get you down. For every yes, you'll have a bunch of unanswers or no's, and you never know what that person is going through at that exact moment. If someone doesn't answer, then follow up in another month and a half or a month. You might catch them at a better time, and they might realize that you're being really persistent and are showing them how interested you are in their role. After you speak with someone, it's so important you send a thank you note. You can send it via email or handwritten. You can oftentimes find the company's address on Google, and it just really shows that you appreciate their time and builds that relationship. So they'll keep you top of mind in the future if opportunities arise. Before you send a thank you note, you want to check out the company website and see if there are any open roles at your level that interest you. If so, make sure you apply. Then you want to send a thank you note and list what you learned during your informational, just give a short description of why you appreciated their time, and just really thank them for the opportunity to connect. Then make sure to mention that you saw the role is available, list the title, and add the job description link. Ask if they would feel comfortable passing along your attached resume to the hiring manager. Because they've already met you, they might feel more comfortable since you already built that relationship. If there aren't any applicable roles open at the moment, don't give up hope. Just say that you'd love to be kept in mind for the future opportunities and that you'd love to circle back in a few months. You never know what will come your way, and in fact, I ended up getting a job offer 3 months after connecting with someone when there wasn't originally an opportunity. My biggest lesson I can share when it comes to networking is it takes a lot of persistence and patience. You never know who you'll connect with, and you should be building your network at all points of your career journey. I still continue to network even though I'm very happily established in my role and my career. Some people won't answer you, and that's okay. They might get a ton of other requests, or they might be in a difficult place in their life or their job. So you want to follow up again in a month to a month and a half just to make sure that it gets re-lifted to the top of their inbox or LinkedIn messages. You never know if you'll catch them at a better moment, and it might lead to an informational. While interviewing at Zac Posen and looking for a full-time role, I ended up getting offered a jewelry sales role. I was so excited to finally have a full-time job, but really quickly into it realized that it just wasn't the right role for me. I was looking forward to more event planning and traditional PR outreach. I ended up reconnecting with someone that I had had an informational with 4 months before. And mind you, it took me 4 emails over the course of 6 months to get that informational, but it ended up working for the best. She ended up calling me out of the blue and offering me a 4-month consultancy helping plan Fashion Week for a major beauty company. I was so thrilled and decided to take the opportunity, quitting that jewelry sales role the following day, giving my 2 weeks notice and jumping into this consultancy. I was worried about it not being a full-time offer, but I knew that this was my step into the door and I had to seize the opportunity. I ended up producing 20 shows over that Fashion Week season with her and the wider team. It was my dream to work Fashion Week and do at least 1 show in my life, and it was incredible to get to do that many all at once. As time was running out and I was nearing the end of my 4-month consultancy, I was getting worried about not having it extended. But I ended up getting really lucky and was extended for an entire 1.5 years after that because my boss and I got along so well. It's so important to put your dedication and all your effort into any roles, including temporary roles, because you never know what can come from it. After working for that beauty company for 1.5 years, I decided I was ready to pursue new opportunities and find a full-time role. I ended up looking on all the classic job listing websites like LinkedIn, Indeed, and I found a role that I ended up getting. It was really exciting to start a new role, and I was working on 7 different brands, doing all of their makeup artists, influencer, hairstylists, manicurists. It runs the gamut. All the brands had different categories, outreach, and building those relationships, and also helping with traditional PR. I learned a lot about the industry in all the different categories from this role. It was a really great opportunity, but it taught me that I like working for one brand instead of many, because I feel like I can dive in deeper and really think big picture and strategy. After a year, I decided to explore new opportunities. Upon this realization, I figured it was time for me to start looking and putting myself out there again and just having informationals. I ended up connecting with someone from the Mercier team for coffee, and 4 months later, I accepted a role there. The role hadn't even existed when we first met for coffee. It ended up being created later on, and she had kept me in mind from our informational when it finally came to life. I was so excited when I finally accepted the offer and started at Mercier, and 3.5 years later, here we are. I'm still with the company and I truly love my role, but it's changed so much over time. A lot of you ask, what does my day-to-day look like? And honestly, it's always changing. A lot of the times I'm just like anyone else and I'm answering emails, taking phone calls, but I do a lot of other things too. I've learned a lot about contracts and do all the influencer contracts for paid campaigns. I do a lot of event planning. We have a ton of events and we actually had 2 global trips in France last year. I also work with the digital and social teams to host IG takeovers with influencers and find content for them to repost. If you end up getting a role in the PR world, welcome and congratulations. It's gonna be so much fun. Make sure to list below where you work and I'd love to connect. So truly my role always changes and it's really fun and fast paced. With quarantine being the new normal and working from home, a lot of my day has changed. I'm on email and phone calls and Zoom meetings a lot more, and event planning's been pretty much put on hold. No one knows what's happening in the future and it'll be interesting to see how my role continues to shift. It's changed so much after 3.5 years and I'm excited to see how it continues to. All right, so I know that was a lot of information, so we're just gonna recap with some key takeaways. Number 1, you should always be networking no matter where you are in your career or your level. It's so important and will open doors for you in the future. Relationships are the key of a lot of opportunities and people will keep you in mind as new opportunities arise. 2, building your network takes a lot of patience and persistence. Again, some people might never answer and that's okay. Don't let it get you down, but those that do will be added to your network and long-term relationships. 3, you never know who is available through your network right now. Make sure to connect with all your friends and let everyone know what kind of career you're interested in because they might have people in their network too. If you end up getting a role in PR, congratulations and welcome to the PR world. It's gonna be so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel and leave any other questions down below in the comments. I'm gonna do a second video answering all of them. So subscribe so you know when that video goes live and make sure to follow me on Instagram